All right, good afternoon, everyone. We are going to get started. We wanted to welcome you to our first ever transformation series. This was a joint effort through Scripps Institute for Oceanography, Rady School of Management, the Office of Innovation and Commercialization. It's actually in partnership with Global Entrepreneur Week as well. So this is Blue Tech Innovation and UN Sustainable Development Goals, supporting the formation of new ocean startups. We have a few upcoming events we just wanted to inform you about before we get started. Our office is having a couple different events coming up. We have our coffee chats with Paul, Robin, startBlue, which we will be talking about during this event, is having a virtual showcase on the 8th. We are having another Innovation at the Edge webinar on the 9th, What Has Space Done for Me Lately? As well as if you'd like to learn more about anything that we're talking about during this webinar and the series, you can go to scripsbusiness.ucsd.edu/webinars. We also have our Design and Innovation building opening shortly. So if you'd like to schedule a tour or want to find out more info, you can email us at innovation@ucsd.edu. I am going to introduce the panelists now. We have Gwen Nero. She is the Director of Corporate Affiliates, Business Development, Industry Outreach, and Innovation at UC San Diego Scripps Institute of Oceanography. At Scripps, Gwen created and directs the Scripps Corporate Alliance, a program that facilitates collaboration between Scripps and corporate members, launched in 2017. She works closely with our office and innovation programs across the UC San Diego campus and in the region to support research commercialization, collaborations with industry, and talent recruitment of students and postdocs to industry careers. She also represents Scripps on the TMA Blue Tech and Ocean Visions. Next up, we have Karen Jensen, the program coordinator at UC San Diego Rady School of Management. She has over 20 years experience in program management in the nonprofit and education sectors. And here she actually has helped work very closely with student entrepreneurs to help them launch their startups. She's also managed business comps, including the Triton Innovation Challenge, which she can probably talk about later, as well as encouraging researchers to take their commercially viable, environmentally focused technology out of the lab and then into market. So that kind of is a little overview of the two speakers that we're going to have today. They will be sharing their screens and talking about all of this in detail. If you have any questions, you can actually submit it to the Q&A, and we will have questions towards the end. So thank you for being here, and I welcome Gwen and Karen.
Great. Thanks so much, Rachel. It's a pleasure to be presenting to this group as part of this series hosted by the Office of Innovation and Commercialization at UC San Diego. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay. So today I'll be sharing a high-level overview of Blue Tech Innovation, the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and UC San Diego's role. But I wanted to start by some definition setting. And what is the blue economy? The World Bank defines the blue economy as sustainable use of ocean resources for economic growth, improved livelihoods and jobs, and ocean ecosystem health. This is a look at the US ocean economy and figures from 2018. The US ocean economy at that time exceeded roughly $373 billion and supported 2.3 million jobs. The top 5 contributors to the blue economy at that time are listed here. Certainly not an exhaustive list given how diverse the blue economy is, but just to give you a flavor of what it can include. Zooming out globally, the blue economy, this is data from 2010 and the OECD, was roughly $1.5 trillion and supported 31 million jobs. And at that time was projected by 2030 to have doubled to $3 trillion. Some of the largest sectors contributing to that substantial growth are marine aquaculture, offshore wind, fish processing, and shipbuilding and repair. So we know from this data that the blue economy includes tourism and recreation, and more specifically, coastal and ocean tourism. We also know that it includes offshore wind and energy and those renewable or green technology sectors intersecting with the ocean economy. But it also includes science-informed decision-making. So utilizing ocean and atmospheric observations and simulations to inform water resource management, for example. This is research that Scripps is very involved with in the state of California and elsewhere. It also includes risk avoidance, for example, understanding sea level rise and implications and strategies for coastal resilience. The blue economy also includes biological resources. What I mean by this is identification and development of drugs from the sea or biofuels from algae. And it also includes innovative observations or monitoring sea level, temperature, acidity, and amount of oxygen in our oceans. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development was adopted by all the member states of the United Nations in 2015, and it provides a blueprint for peace and prosperity for people and the planet now and in the future. And central to that 2030 Agenda are these 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, listed here. And I called out SDG 14, Life Below Water, which is to conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. Certainly, these SDGs are not mutually exclusive, and there are several that I've highlighted here that are closely connected with life below water. The UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development started January 1 of this year. And this is an opportunity that brings together the many different actors across the world to foster partnerships that can generate knowledge that's needed to support a well-functioning, productive, resilient, sustainable, and inspiring ocean. The vision for the Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development is the science we need for the ocean we want. And this provides a framework to ensure that ocean science can fully support countries achieving the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. So transitioning here, I wanted to share a little bit more with you about Scripps Institution of Oceanography. Scripps is an academic department and a research division of UC San Diego. It includes today over 2,300 individuals. This includes our students, scientists, administrators, and staff like myself, and volunteers who bring our science out to the public. Our scientists generate roughly 700 research publications each year, and the average sponsored research awards have exceeded $170 million over the last 3 years. It's an incredibly distinguished group that I get the privilege to work with. That includes 27 members who have been noted by leadership in their field, acknowledged as winners of Nobel Prizes, National Medals of Science, members of national academies, and royal societies. Scripps' mission is to work to understand and protect the planet and investigate the oceans, earth, and atmosphere to find solutions to our greatest environmental challenges. This is a look at Scripps' strategic research initiatives, and I want to draw your attention to the 6 categories on the top first. This includes research initiatives that Scripps has long been known for its leadership in, including decades of close collaborations with the Department of Defense and more specifically the US Navy, research in national security, to some of our newest centers, including the Center for Climate Change Impacts and Adaptation and the Center for Polar Science. Our research scientists and academic leadership also noted a 7th research initiative of innovative technology, which is really positioned this way because it is seen as being so closely connected and involved to each of these six areas to advance the state of the art and the state of science. Scripps has a research fleet. You might be familiar with our La Jolla campus, but we also have a campus in Nimitz Marine Facility located in Point Loma, which is home to our research vessels that you see here, including the RV Sally Ride, owned by the Navy but operated by Scripps, and our newest research vessel, the RV Bob and Betty Beister. This is a look at the track lines from Scripps research over the course of the last 60 years, roughly. These research vessels go wherever the research takes them. So you can see we have very active research, not only in every ocean, but we also have active research in every continent too. We work closely to support new businesses and to collaborate with external companies as well. This is a look at some of the new businesses that we've started in the last 10 years or so. Delmar Oceanographic is one of our most recent spinouts. This is co-founder Professor Drew Lucas next to the wire walker technology. The wire walker utilizes wave power to ratchet up and down this cable so that the sensors on board can vertically profile within the water column. Ocean Motion Technology is a startup that was begun by then PhD student Jack Pan. Jack has since graduated, and Ocean Motion Technology has been awarded phase 1 and phase 2 SBIR funding from the Department of Energy. His technology integrates into a wave buoy to utilize wave energy to power the sensors on board. MRB Systems is a long-standing collaborator that actually began as a spin-out from Scripps. MRB Systems makes and manufactures floats that contribute to the Argo network, among other areas, and collaborates today with Scripps on the Argo network. And California Seaweed Co., also one of our newest startups. This is a team that has extensively studied and optimized the growth of seaweeds and now transfers those seaweeds to this business for culinary applications. So look out for those seaweeds as the newest superfood. We work closely with industry partners to transfer expertise and knowledge, and this comes in many form factors. We have industry research consortia, including the Professor Stephen Constable's Seafloor Electromagnetic Methods Consortium. Our scientists participate in advisory capacities for companies. For example, Dr. Terrell here is on the Strategic Advisory Board for Liquid Robotics. They're active participants in conferences held by the American Geophysical Union and others, sharing the latest outcomes from their research and opportunities to collaborate. And lastly, we have Scripps Corporate Alliance, which Rachel mentioned in the introduction. Scripps Corporate Alliance is an opportunity for corporate members to work more closely with Scripps throughout the year. And we have roughly 33 companies in that group right now, largely in the blue tech space. So autonomous vehicles, oceanographic sensors, and software, for example. So now I'll transition here to my colleague, Karen Jensen, and invite her up to share with you more about Rady School of Management.
Thanks so much, Gwen. So just to start with, the Rady School of Management is the youngest business school in the University of California system. We graduated our first class of MBAs in 2006. Today, in addition to the MBA programs, our offerings include PhD programs, master's level programs in finance, business analytics, and professional accountancy, partnered undergraduate majors, and the most popular undergrad minor on campus, which is in entrepreneurship and innovation. So, next slide, please. The Rady MBA program's focus on entrepreneurship was the catalyst for the creation of the California Institute for Innovation and Development, or SEED, which is our entrepreneurial center at Rady. SEED's flagship programming is our Starter Accelerator program, featuring several focused tracks to help students from across campus launch their startup. Our tracks include inclusion, with a focus on supporting diverse founders from typically underrepresented populations, impact for those who wish to make a social impact through entrepreneurship, veteran for those who have served, and our Rady program, which is exclusively for our MBA students and alums. In just 9 years, our starter programs have graduated nearly 250 teams with 4 exits and over $159 million in funding raised. Next slide, please. So a few examples of our alums include Exist Tribe, a graduate of Starter Rady and veteran. They originally worked on the sleep pod to help military members sleep better. And really their goal was to reduce PTSD and suicide in veterans, which was very close to the hearts of their founders. Today, while they are still working on this, they have built and launched the REST node, whose features include zero-blue, bio-friendly, patented OLED lighting that allows you to slip into slumber without all the damaging exposure to typical lights. The SurfUp app is a graduate of our Rady and Impact programs, and this is an automated surfboard rental station that's found in partner locations, think hotels that are located right on the beach. And their goal is really to help make surfing as convenient and possible for everyone, particularly those who are brand new surfers and maybe just want to try it out for a couple of hours without having to haul a surfboard from 4 blocks away down to the beach. That's quite a turnoff for a lot of people. CB Therapeutics is a graduate of Rady. They have developed an innovative and proprietary cellular agriculture platform to efficiently research, discover, develop, and produce therapeutic compounds to advance neuroscience. They have received over $7 million in venture funding in the last 5 years. And finally, the last startup I want to mention is Navega Therapeutics, which is a graduate of a Our Inclusion program. They've developed an epigenetic gene therapy to target pain that is non-addictive, highly specific, and long-lasting. Really, their goal is to fight opioid addiction. Most recently, they've received phase 2 SBIR funding of $2 million from the NIH. In addition to our starter program, we host business plan competitions like the Triton Innovation Challenge with a focus on technologies from across campus that come from, are inspired by, or directly impact nature. These programs are run in partnership with Gwen and our colleagues at the Scripps Institution for Oceanography, and was one of the catalysts for our joining forces to launch our newest accelerator, startBlue. And now I will hand it back over to Gwen, who will tell you a little bit more about this exciting program.
Great. Thanks so much, Karen. So as Karen just mentioned, startBlue is the newest accelerator in the StartR series. We've just launched with Cohort 1 this October. This is a quick look at what we're offering our teams through this program. We're in the midst right now of our fall curriculum. This includes some of the elements of a traditional lean launch curriculum, but through the lens of ocean science and innovation. In the winter and spring, we'll transition to get our teams outside of the classroom and into the local blue economy. And we'll also offer more of a deep dive in a workshop format on critical topics related to starting a new business and getting ready for non-dilutive funding strategies like SBIR awards. They're offered access to technical support like maker spaces. They have customized industry mentors that they work with through the duration of the program. And then they have access through our program partners to a variety of conferences, ways to expand their network, participate in industry associations, and to connect with potential investment partners and other resources. Our goals for startBlue were to focus on new business formation. San Diego is very unique in terms of the resources that it offers to startups, more specifically to later stage startups who are looking for equity-based investment and who are looking to deploy a pilot, for example. Even in the ocean space, we have TMA Blue Tech and the Blue Tech Incubator, and we have the Port of San Diego's Blue Economy Incubator, which are fantastic resources for startups who are at that stage. But we really critically were lacking support for our newest startups who were needing to develop their go-to-market strategy. And that's where startBlue comes in. We're supporting those teams as they're spinning up, looking to compete for non-dilutive funding, and then going to transition into these later stage programs. Here's a look at our program partners, some of the resources that are available to our team, and the startBlue team. I serve as director. My colleague Karen Jensen is our program coordinator. Vanessa Scott is the innovation liaison. She's on my team at Scripps as well. Chris Ward is the executive in residence for startBlue and oversees the mentorship program. Srishti Dasarathi is a PhD candidate at Scripps and oversees the community building resources for our teams. And John York is the lead instructor. He's adjunct faculty with Rady School of Management, and he's overseeing the fall curriculum that we're in right now. Here are our program advisors. This group has informed the application process, the selection of teams, and informs the content that's put in front of our teams as well. And here's a look at the 8 teams selected for Cohort 1. Really a diverse group in terms of the types of technologies they're developing and the stage of development that they're at. Algion Materials is a team out of Rady School of Management. This is a biotech and materials company that is utilizing kelp to create biodegradable plastic alternatives. Kaipono Solutions is a team out of San Diego State University, developing a stormwater filtration device that's low impact, cost effective, and IoT enabled. Sepiobotics is a team using robotics and artificial intelligence and using that to solve ocean data collection and remote transfer challenges. Daybreak Seaweed Co. is a business that's just relocated from Northern California to San Diego, and they are utilizing seaweed for culinary applications. Ankrel is one of our newest teams that's reinventing the 2,000-year-old anchor technology to be less destructive, more intelligent, and easier to use. CalWave Power Technologies is a spin out from Berkeley. This is a wave power energy conversion device. Our last 2 teams here, Mantaz and FishSense, are both collaborations between Scripps Oceanography and Jacobs School of Engineering. Mantaz is using innovations in 3D printing and biomaterials to restore coral reefs. And FishSense is using imaging advancements to improve underwater biomass measurements, which is really important for monitoring fish population growth and health. So we're looking for your help. After today, we encourage you to visit the startBlue website to learn more about the teams, to learn more about startBlue, to sign up for announcements, to participate in our showcase event on December 8th, and to sign up to be a mentor. As we transition from the fall to the winter terms, we'll be opening up a call for new mentors. So there's some really exciting ways to stay involved and to work with the teams that you've learned about today. So please feel free to reach out to Karen or myself with any questions. And the startBlue website is here, startblue.ucsd.edu, and would be happy to take any questions that you might have. Thanks.
Just a reminder, if there's any questions, feel free to place them in the Q&A. I know one question that we had that you kind of went over briefly, Gwen, was how to get more involved in the program, and maybe if you want to provide a little more detail on that for people that might want to apply for a following cohort.
Absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity to talk about that a little bit more. So we will be hosting a showcase where you can hear from and network with Cohort 1 teams. It will be virtual. It's December 8th at 4 p.m. Pacific time, which offers the opportunity to hear from the teams and then we'll be utilizing breakout groups to connect for more Q&A and networking among all of the teams. We'll have more information about how to participate as a mentor for the winter and the spring term there. And we'll have some fun audience awards that we'll be handing out. So it'll be very interactive despite being virtual. Mentorship has been, I think, arguably the most valuable thing that we offer our teams. We are connecting, if not 1, 2, and sometimes 3 mentors for each team. The lead mentor is more of a generalist who's an expert in startups. You don't need to be an expert in the blue economy or in that particular sector that your team is working in, but you need to be someone who is a self-starter, who's well connected and willing to share your network with the team to help them towards their milestones for the program. And then our secondary mentors are more domain experts in that particular sector that the team is working in. So it's a collaborative team approach that we take. And I would encourage you to visit the website to see some of the areas that our teams are looking for support in the application, and consider applying. We'll have the application open ongoing throughout the year, and we will be remixing and matching our mentors and teams when we come back for our winter term in January. Karen, anything to add on that?
Nothing on that, but I would just add as the second part of Rachel's question, if you are interested in participating in startBlue, we will open applications for our next cohort, likely in mid-May, closing in early July, and we'll start selecting our teams before the end of summer and be ready to go no later than the first week of October next year. So we look forward to seeing your application then. Again, check our website and we'll keep that up to date. As soon as it's open, you'll know.
Looks like we had a question from Valerie. What are the requirements for startups to be accepted? Must they be affiliated with UC San Diego?
Great question. We did not mention this, but you do not need to be affiliated with UC San Diego. This year was hopefully anomalous, and that would have been virtual through the fall, but we intend to be hopefully in person in the winter, spring, and again in the fall for 2020. So we do have the requirement that you're able to attend in person, provided we have in-person content. That has inherently, limited our scope to San Diego-based teams, but you do not need to be formally affiliated or have any members who are part of the current UC San Diego community. You just need to be using science and engineering to tackle ocean challenges.
And the other part of that is we are really looking for people who are teams. So we're not looking for solo founders here. We're looking for teams of 2 or more. Again, partially because participation is so important and we are expecting somebody from each team. It doesn't have to be the same person every time, but somebody from each team to be at each meeting.
It looks like Irene had a question about interest in mentoring. I did drop the website for the mentorship applications. Is this the best way for someone to get a hold of either of you if they have interest in mentoring, or just to fill out the mentor form?
The application certainly is the best first place to go for information about mentorship commitments and expectations. With any more specific questions that you have after looking at the application, please feel free to email startblue@ucsd.edu. That gets routed to Karen and me to follow up with you on that. Yeah, I would be happy to field a one-on-one call to discuss that more.
Great. And Irene had another question. What is the duty for the mentor? So maybe going a little bit more into the details of what is involved.
Sure. So for a primary mentor, because you're really the lead and work most closely with that team, the time commitment, I would say, is one of the biggest pieces there. We ask each of our primary mentors to offer 1 to 2 hours each week with their team throughout the term that they're working with the team. So in the fall, that's an 8-week commitment. And in the winter, spring, that is 2 other 8-week commitments. The secondary mentors that are more domain experts, if they can participate in those 1 to 2 hour meetings with the primary mentors and the teams, that is certainly encouraged, but we leave it up to the primary mentor and the team to determine how to engage those domain experts as needed. I should say all of our mentors are invited to participate in all of the startBlue programs. We highly encourage them to attend the classes, which are very interactive, to go to all of our community building and more social type programming. All of those resources are available to them so that they're able to learn and engage in the community building and the social and professional development opportunities that we offer the teams as well.
And then I think 1% had a question just about the slide deck's going to be available. This has been recorded, so we're actually going to send out a link to the recording for everyone that's attended, as well as people that have not been able to. So that should probably have all of the information needed. We didn't have any more questions in the chat, but I think for anyone that maybe is not as familiar with the blue economy or what that means, or even just the startBlue method, is there a way to maybe go into a little bit more of that for someone that's kind of first learning about the blue economy in general, and why San Diego is kind of leading that effort?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there are some great federal resources. Some of the reports that I cited in the introduction are by NOAA or the OECD. Increasingly, that phrase "blue economy" is utilized and is utilized in those reports. So a quick Google search and a look to some of the more kind of federally generated resources, I think, is a good first stop. But I'd also point you to some of the reports put out by EDCs or economic development corporations in regions, in particular regions like San Diego, and put out in partnership with industry associations in this sector. So for example, TMA Blue Tech is an industry association that supports science and engineering businesses in ocean and water. They put out a report in 2012 that was, I believe, in partnership with the San Diego EDC that quantified the then San Diego blue economy. I believe that noted it was 46,000 direct jobs in San Diego that were under the umbrella of the blue economy. Really extensive, and only positioned to grow given some of the trajectories that I shared in my opening remarks as well. They're in the process of updating those numbers right now. So I think we should expect to see in the next year or so some new data that quantifies the San Diego blue economy. San Diego is incredibly unique in terms of its blue economy. I hinted at some of that in terms of there's a myriad of innovation resources generally in San Diego, but we also very uniquely have these ocean specific and sustainability specific innovation resources that are offered by TMA Blue Tech and the Port of San Diego and their Blue Economy Incubator. We have not only research institutions like UC San Diego and NOAA Southwest Fisheries Science Center, but the defense sector that's here, and the Navy presence and Navy research in the region really has for decades positioned San Diego to be a leader in the US blue economy. San Diego has this unique startBlue accelerator. We were the awardees of funding from the Economic Development Administration in 2020 to get this off the ground, but there were other ocean-related incubators that also received funding to do similarly in Seattle area, Boston, and elsewhere in the US in kind of in the Norfolk area. So we're only increasingly seeing this realization and support and kind of community building around ocean innovation in the blue economy, which is really exciting.
It looks like there's a couple more questions that just came in. Is there any financial support for startups from outside of the US in order to join in-person activity of the program?
There is not. Part of the terms of our funding from that federal source, we can support the programming, we can support access to some technical resources, but we cannot directly fund the teams.
Looks like another question. David said, I'm a flex weekend student at Rady. Are there going to be more upcoming mixers between Rady School and Scripps beyond the online event on the 8th? Looks like there was a couple events recently, and he felt that was very helpful in terms of, I assume, networking and meeting people. So
Great. Karen, do you want to comment on that?
Sorry, having problems unmuting myself right now. Yes, we are definitely planning on having further mixers. Generally, we hold these in the late winter, early spring quarters, primarily in preparation for the Triton Innovation Challenge, but we encourage everyone to come meet each other, and we've had several teams form this way, or team members found through these networking opportunities, and we will certainly share all the information on those ahead of that time. But generally, I would say look for something in early March, actually probably February or March. We're changing the timing a little bit this year.
thanks, Karen. Looks like one other question. How can the community best support the blue economy and the blue tech area?
I would say get involved. In some of the information I shared earlier, you can see it's a very diverse field, and you don't need to be an expert in ocean sciences in order to have relevant skills that these startups need. In many cases, the new entrepreneurs that we're certainly seeing have that in spades, but where they need support is access to capital, how to develop their go-to-market strategy, networking with different partners, some of the fundamentals of starting a new business. So I would say if you're here, if you're interested in starting a business that is high risk, that has a lot of potential to do really impactful, exciting work out in the real world, get engaged. This is a great first step.
Right. There are no further questions in the Q&A. We can wait a few minutes. If not, we can definitely wrap up earlier. Gwen or Karen, was there anything else that you wanted to share? I dropped information about the program. We discussed mentorship. Also, startBlue at UCSD will be your best bet for any kind of further follow-up. We were going to be sending this out, the recording, to everyone that's attended.
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. I just want to thank you and your team for the opportunity to share more about startBlue and what we're doing at UC San Diego. And I see from the attendees here, we've got some of our startup teams and from our startBlue teams on the call. We've got some of our mentors and our program partners. So just a really, I highlighted some of the numbers of what makes San Diego unique in being really impactful and having a leadership position in the blue economy, but it's incredibly rewarding to work in this space, to see different partners that not only show up to work with each other and show up to each other's events and presentations, but are excited to do so. So it's really a pleasure to work with those groups, and I want to acknowledge their participation and their partnership while I have the opportunity. So thanks.
Yeah, I echo what Gwen said. Our partners are vital to us, and I would just wanted to say too that especially if you're here on the UC San Diego campus, if you're interested in entrepreneurship at all, if you have even just a small idea in this area and you want to explore, we'd love to see you in startBlue. Maybe startBlue isn't your first stop, but there's so many other entrepreneurial programs on campus that are a great way to get your foot wet, get involved, learn more, and prepare yourself for whatever the next program may be, whether it's a StartR program, startBlue, or any of the other programs in the area. So as we've been saying along, the best thing you can do if you're interested in this is get involved, go out, listen, talk to people, and start getting your feet wet.
All right, well, thank you everyone for attending. Thank you so much again to Gwen and Karen for the insightful dialogue that we had today. We'll be sending out the recording as well as reference to the website in case you forgot it, and the email. So I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Gwen, anything else from our end that we want to remind people of?
All set. Thanks, Rachel.
Okay, all right. Thank you again. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.